The Roman Empire is crumbling. The year is 249. In the north, there are Gothic raids, in the east, there are Persians, in the cities, there is plague and bread shortages. The Praetorians change emperors faster than priests extinguish sacrificial fires. In the evening, you lock the door with a double bolt and still listen, is it thunder or drums? The statues of the gods still stand in the forum, but people whisper other names. Mithras. The Great Mother. Attis. A sect that promises not just salvation, but a second birth. Not with water. With blood. You were told that order is maintained by laws and discipline. And then you saw men with unblinking eyes and red spots on their cloaks coming out of the dungeon near the Capenian gate. The plague is raging in the city, and they smile as if they have just returned from a long-awaited swim. They smell of wine, smoke, and something sweet and sickening. Blood. They say there are rooms underground where the lights are on day and night, where drums drown out the screams. They say people are born there a second time. But this is only the beginning. Wait, it will get worse. You descend the narrow stairs hidden under a house built during Hadrian's reign. A dozen steps, and you are in another city. Stone benches along the walls, low ceilings, the smell of resin, oil sizzling in lamps. At the end, a relief, a young man in Persian dress stabs a bull with a knife. The relief clearly shows the channels through which liquid was to flow during the ritual, a symbolic reminder of the sacrifice. This is a Mithraeum. Similar ones were found in Ostia, in London on Waller Street, and in Duryuropos on the Euphrates. Where there is a garrison, there is a sanctuary. The cold stone is under my hand. Under my feet is dust and scattered embers from the sacrificial coals. On the walls are symbols, Scorpio, Leo, Gemini, a helmet, torches, the symbol of a knife is repeated. And another room, deeper inside, a wooden grate, under it, a pit. Here it is no longer about sight, it is about smell. It smells of dampness, metal, horses, and animal fear. Archaeologists will say, here is the trough through which the liquid flowed. They will call it ritual hydraulics. You will call it something else when you see it. The drums beat out a muffled rhythm. After each beat, there is silence that presses on your eardrums. For a moment, it seems like your heart is pounding in your chest. To enter here as a brother, you must die first. Not literally. First, there is an oath of silence. Then, a night in darkness, when they blindfold you and bring a bitter cup to your lips. You swallow and don't ask what's in it. Then, cold metal in your palms, a knife that isn't yours. The heat of a torch was brought to your face to test your endurance, but your skin remained intact. You must not flinch. The vultures in the city know, the most dangerous thing is a rustle that shouldn't be there. And here they teach you not to flinch when a rustle creeps down your spine, as if something invisible has touched you. To purify yourself means to see yourself at the bottom of a pit where there is no name, no rank, no past. They whisper to you, leave your old body here. You will come out new. You nod. Because above you are the drums, and in them is order. Below you is darkness, and in it is chaos. And between them is you. When the cup had a bitter taste, which the participants perceived as a symbol of transition to a new state. The night before the spring holidays. Above, the moon, below, masks. They lead a bull into the pit, heavy, fierce, with eyes in which two small lamps reflect like two needles. Above, a grate on which you stand barefoot. The wood creaks, but holds. The priest raises his knife. The drums fall silent, the crowd whispers like the sea. It smells of sweat, horses, and iron. At the decisive moment, the sacrifice was made so that the liquid from it would fall through the grate onto the participant in the ritual. This was called bloody rain, a symbolic birth into a new state. Ancient sources describe it as the rite of Toribolium. The smells of smoke, the crowd, and animal fear mingle in the air. You understand, now, bathing is yours. This is not the water of the Jordan. This is Torabolium, a bloody birth under the protection of the Great Mother. The ritual itself belonged more to her cult than to the Mithraists. But in late Rome, the boundaries were blurred, faiths mixed, rituals intertwined, and blood became the common language of the gods. Above your head, there is singing, below, the gutters catch what has not fallen on you. You stand until the drums start again, and each beat seems to hammer a nail into your old name. Blood flows through you like a new name on your skin. Someone on the side crosses themselves, no, not like that. They touch their chest and forehead with a sign that is not from Christian basilicas. For them, it is sacred. For you, it is horror. And yet you did not retreat. Now you are reborn in a bloody rain. Rumors claimed that priests could collect some of the ritual fluid and use it in ceremonies. Some believed that even bread and wine could have a symbolic, red element. Archaeologists have found no conclusive evidence, but it was precisely these suspicions that made these rituals even more terrifying for those who heard about them from outside. The upper benches are for warriors, centurions, those who give orders and receive crucifixions at the border. The lower ones are for merchants, scribes, freed slaves. In the darkness, everyone is equal, until the meal begins. Meat and bread, wine and cheese are placed on the table, and something else, darker, more ticklish on the tongue. You eat because you have to be one with them. You drink because you have to be silent. In Duryuropos on the Euphrates, archaeologists found a mithraeum where the walls were covered with drawings of soldiers. It looked less like a temple and more like an underground barracks. The Brotherhood resembled not only a religion but also a secret army with its own officers and code. Hot facts from other kitchens. In Narbonne, a woman swore on blood that she would betray her renegade husband. In Rome, a brother killed his brother for playing with his tongue. In Antioch, knives were found at the door of the one who spoke the forbidden word outside. This brotherhood does not tolerate the weak. And it does not like witnesses. The rumors were even darker, that newcomers were given secret food, bread mixed with drops of blood diluted in wine. No one could prove this for sure, but the suspicion itself made the meal even more frightening for those who heard about it from the outside. When one of them stands up and runs his finger along his shoulder, where the drop stopped, everyone repeats. Life is in blood. Death is in blood. Salvation is in blood. The drums support them, like a heart that has been taught to beat together. And the city above breathes heavily and slowly. Emperors fall, legions roam, prices rise. But here, underground, there is order. Here, there is discipline. Here, there is rhythm. Here, no questions are asked. Here, they are cut out before they have time to sprout. On the door is a knife mark, outlined with resin so that it shines in the light. On the wall is a painting from which the faces have been scraped off. The gods do not need witnesses, they say. In the corridor is a board with 3 nails driven into it. They say each nail symbolizes a silenced tongue. You hear stories that don't make it into the chronicles. Like how a girl who laughed at the bloody baths disappeared in Ostia. How a man with no right hand was found in the baths of Septimius, he swore with that hand to remain silent. How a woman near Salona gave her son to the legion so that he would not be thrown into the pit. Rumors creep like moisture on stone, quietly, invisibly, but reaching the heart overnight. Don't look that way. Don't say the name out loud. Don't ask why the cloak is red. The drums drown out the cries, but sometimes it seems that the cries learn to beat in time, and become music. The irony is that the same rumors flew in the opposite direction. Christians were also accused of secret orgies, of drinking blood and eating flesh. For the people above, there was no difference, those underground, were all equally terrifying. Both the Mithraic sect and the Christian communities lived under the burden of mirror-image accusations. Sometimes the Mithraists themselves were confused with Christians. Both communities gathered in secret, both had secret meals, and both were accused of bloody orgies. In the darkness of the catacombs, foreign beliefs merged into one terrifying silhouette. On the Aventine Hill, Christians gather in a house and whisper prayers over a cup of wine and bread. Their cross is wood and water. Their rebirth is immersion in a font, the touch of water, pure and cold. Nearby, on the same hill, underground, there is another birth. Not from water, from blood. Not for everyone, for the chosen ones. Not in light, in darkness. A Christian woman named Priska tells you, the only baptism is with water and the Spirit. A brother from the underground replies, the only salvation is by blood and oath. And each looks at the other as if he were a shadow. The disputes reach the prefects. In 257 and 258, Decius and Valerian persecute Christians, they do not sacrifice to the imperial genii. And the sectarians underground cling to shadows, they are harder to catch. But the tongue of the city is sharper than a sword. They wash themselves in blood. They eat meat. They laugh when thunder strikes. Christians respond with sermons, but underground drums are louder than words. Some said that these underground rituals were only a shadow of true faith. They also had their own baptism, only not with water, but with blood. They also had their own meal, bread, wine, and meat. And even an image of a Savior who dies and rises again. Christians saw this as a copy, a distorted reflection. But that is precisely why the competition was deadly, because they were competing for the same souls. Order versus chaos. Or just different rhythms. Your body remembers both. The year is 391. Then 392. Theodosius I bans pagan cults. The fires are extinguished, the altars are broken, the statues are lowered on ropes. Where drums once beat, now church singing echoes. Where benches once stood, there is dust and cobwebs. Where there used to be a trough in which liquid sang, there is now dryness and cracks. Archaeologists will come in a century. In London, they will dig up a Mithraeum under a 10-meter layer of the city, they will find stone benches and a relief with a bull. In Rome, near San Clemente, tourists will be shown underground halls, the smell of dampness will mix with the smell of coffee from the neighboring café. In Ostia, they will find frescoes depicting the god who killed the bull, and nearby, fragments of bowls and animal bones. There are scratches on the stone that cannot be mistaken for accidental ones. The silence here is thick. When you stand in the center of the room and clap your hands, the echo returns slowly, as if thinking about whether it's worth it. You can imagine how people once gathered here, tired, hungry, frightened, to seek the feeling that the world could be put in order with rhythm. And blood. Above ground are basilicas. The water in the baptismal fonts is cool, clean, transparent, children cry, but quietly. The priest says, born from above. Order built on the word. Underground are empty halls. You step and feel the roughness of stone under your toes, stone that has seen more than any chronicle. Sometimes it seems that warmth emanates from the dark corners, like from a real body. You seem to hear a distant sound, slow, steady, persistent. Drums. You tell yourself, it's the wind in the mines. A drop falls from the ceiling onto your shoulder. You tell yourself, water. But when you step out into the light, the sky suddenly seems darker. And for a moment, the air seems heavy, as if saturated with a metallic echo. As if somewhere, very deep down, it is still raining. They called themselves the reborn. You call them fanatics. History calls them lost. But the city remembers the rhythm. The city remembers the smell. The city remembers the trembling of Sauls when someone dropped a knife from above and someone lifted their face from below. Because some rituals do not die, they hide in the walls. And if you listen carefully at the Kopensky Gate on a moonless night, you can hear it, a muffled battle coming from the ground and a quiet whisper repeating, eternally, stubbornly, life is in blood. The echo of fear does not like to speak loudly. It likes to return.